බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්. බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්.
On satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is Other Derana 24/7.
Spare the fate. Minister Vijayadasa says he does not want to share the same fate as the previous government. Was there a leak? Investigations launched into a private tutor leaking advanced level exam questions. Singaporean connection. Prime Minister reveals that assistance is sought from Singapore to develop the Trincomalee port. Here we go again. Sri Lanka collapsed in the first ODI. Left prevails. Far-right rally in Boston silenced by protesters. Bringing you news from home and across the world, this is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7. Good evening, I'm Katharina Chang. Now taking a look at your top story tonight, the Examinations Department says that an investigation is launched into an incident where a private tutor allegedly distributed questions for this year's GCE Advanced Level Chemistry paper prior to the exam. However, highlighting that these could be marketing strategies by different tutors, the Commissioner General at the Department of Examinations requested students not to be discouraged. The advanced level chemistry examination was conducted yesterday, but following the examination in several centres in the Gampaha district, a group of people distributed handbills to students. The handbill requested students to compare questions included in the chemistry paper with the last mock examination paper given out at a private tuition class in the area. Via the handbill, the particular tutor said a few questions that the students faced yesterday were given by him during the session.
When we came out of our exam halls yesterday, they distributed some handbills. 2 questions mentioned in these handbills were the same ones we were required to answer in our paper. Please investigate this and give us justice.
The handbill also mentioned a phone number for A-level students who are interested in joining the private class in 2018 and addresses of 6 tuition centres where the particular tutor conducted classes. However, when Other Derana inquired into the incident, it was revealed that the said tutor does not conduct classes in any one of those centres. Doubts have now arisen as to whether this is a marketing strategy to attract new students. Commissioner General of Examinations WMNJ Pushpakumar said incidents such as these have been reported previously. He requests that the Examinations Department be informed regarding similar incidents as soon as they are reported. Other Derana's efforts to contact the tutor have not as yet been successful. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government of Singapore will assist Sri Lanka in developing the Trincomalee port as part of the government's strategy to make Sri Lanka the hub of the Indian Ocean. Speaking at the opening ceremony of a newly constructed building at the Eravuru Town Divisional Secretariat, the Premier also spoke on the progress of several other projects in the pipeline.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa went for early elections since the government could not manage the public debt and its interest due to low revenue generation. We, however, were able to control it. After the conflict, there was no development in the east. Hence, one of our main initiatives is to make Sri Lanka the hub of the Indian Ocean and develop our ports. We have requested the government of Singapore to assist Sri Lanka in developing the Trincomalee harbour. We are also searching for suitable land along the coastal belt and inland, which could be used for tourism. Thereafter, we will create a program to develop this sector over the next 10 to 15 years. By the end of this year, the Mattala airport will be run by another firm, and a number of industrialists have expressed their interest in investing in Hambantota.
Minister of Justice and Buddha Shasana Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa reiterates that he always opposed the sale of state property. He expressed these views when he met the chief incumbent of the Askari chapter of the Siam sector, Most Venerable Varakaguda Sri Gnanaratana Thera, yesterday.
During the recent working committee meeting, I said what I had to say. I can't conscientiously agree with the sale of resources. In this case, there isn't a difference between selling and leasing, since 99 years means 4 generations. It's as good as sold. Yes, it's on freehold. SLTB was sold in 2003. I went to the Supreme Court and got the agreement changed. On that day, the then Chief Justice, Sarath N. Silva, told the attorneys of the opposition that they work for money, but this one thinks about the country because the agreement is not right. The agreement was then cancelled. Had it not been done, there wouldn't be a SLTB today. Then they sold the insurance, which is worth 125 billion rupees, for 6 billion rupees. I recommended the COPE committee that it be taken back. Mahinda Rajapaksa didn't do it, so I went to court. I'm insulted in public. I patiently look on.
Following the audience with the chief prelate, the minister responded to questions raised by journalists.
Courts hear cases with the presumption of innocence until a person is proven guilty. Ministers of justice did influence court proceedings in the past. That led to governments being toppled. One of the main reasons for the failing of the previous government was influencing the proceedings at the Attorney General's Department. I don't need to have a similar experience. Last Tuesday, the Cabinet unanimously decided to pass the 20th Amendment. Not even 48 hours passed before the ministers of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party made a decision to oppose the amendment. Those are instances of breaching collective responsibility.
Deputy Minister Ajit P. Pereira today had some recommendations for those who fail to embrace the principles of the United National Party leadership. Meanwhile, former General Secretary of the United National Party, Tissata Naika, suggests arriving at a common ground to resolve the issue between the party backbenchers and Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa.
Deputy Minister Ajit P. Pereira responded to questions raised by media after attending the exhibition Encounter Ranil this morning. Today marks the last day of the exhibition, which depicts Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's 40-year-long political career.
There are things called embarrassment and shame. I'm not prominent enough to give a lesson on those. The issue on confidence is over. What's the point of a no-confidence motion when the party, the working committee and the parliamentary group unanimously told him?
In the meantime, the former General Secretary of the United National Party, Tissata Naika, also expressed views on the issue, addressing media following a function held in Kandy today.
The party faced various struggles since 1994, including conflicts of opinion, leadership issues as well as arguments. This resulted in a party split. As the General Secretary of the party, I was able to bring everyone together at the last moment. That enabled the victory in the presidential election. The issue today is that the party does not have a plan which addresses the concerns of the common man. Such is regrettable. All those should be resolved. There could be various views and not all agree with the decisions of a government. One side should listen to those views. When there is a difference of opinion, a process where all could be united should be adopted. The time has come to comprehend what should and shouldn't be done.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Tilak Marapana emphasizes the need to convince the international community that human rights is in fact a part of Sri Lankan culture. He touched on the subject today, responding to questions raised by media following an audience with the chief prelates of Asgiri and Malvadu chapters. Newly appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs Tilak Marapana visited Asgiri Mahavihara and met the most venerable Varakaguda Sri Gnanaratana Thera for blessings.
This happened suddenly on the back of an unfortunate event. My assumption of duties is a token gesture.
The minister addressed media afterwards.
We should show the international community that we are a humane country. The international community makes certain requests from us for the good of the people of this country. Human rights are a part of the culture of this country. It is not something new to us. We should make the international community realize this. No, it will never happen. The community in Geneva doesn't expect it, but they can observe. It's not an issue for us. How can they say something like that? We can place statues of Lord Buddha wherever we want. They haven't said so, they will never say so, and even if they do, we won't care. It's not true. The IMF doesn't want to interfere in our economy. We should know how to manage our economy. They wouldn't give us aid if it's seen as a waste.
The minister then visited the Malvadu temple and met the chief incumbent Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thera. Minister of Lands and Parliamentary Reforms Ganta Karunatilake emphasizes that incidents of fraud must be investigated, irrespective of whether they were done during the past regime or the present. He made the remarks at a media briefing held at the UMP headquarters, Sirikota, today.
Nobody believed that it would have been possible to restore whatever was destroyed in this country within 2 years. The damage done by the previous regime was that critical. It was a marathon and not a 100-meter race. We had two good sprinters who were able to run that race. That is, the current President and Prime Minister. I can say without any doubt that this government will be functioning in the next 2 years, just like how they did during the previous 2 years. Nobody from the government ever interfered in the judicial process. It doesn't matter if it's the current government or the previous. If somebody is responsible for fraudulent activities, those should be revealed. Otherwise, the public won't receive a justifiable outcome.
The leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Anura Kumar Dissanayake, challenges those who rule the country after 1985 to elaborate on what happened to the more than 10 trillion rupees that have been borrowed since. He made the statement addressing the Diriya Puravasi Kamitu in Polonnaruwa today.
These two main political parties that rule the country have put it into major economic trouble. The first problem is the debt issue. In 1985, the debt of this country was 130 billion rupees. When questioned in Parliament, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said, "We have taken loans of up to approximately 10.5 trillion rupees. The rulers should tell us what was done with these loans." We challenge the leaders who ruled the country after 1985, Chandrika, Mahinda, Ranil and Maitri, to show what was done with the 10.5 trillion rupees. People wanted to punish thieves. They closed the anti-corruption secretariat, which was the only place the people had to complain about corruption. Don't expect stealing to be controlled when the government is comprised of thieves.
Minister of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine, Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, today said that a detailed proposal on the government's takeover of the Dr. Neville Fernando Teaching Hospital in Malabay will be submitted as a bill in Parliament after obtaining consent from the relevant signatories. The minister stated that the bill which is to be submitted will be akin to that of the Sri Jawadanapura General Hospital. It was also stated that according to the decision taken by the Cabinet, all administrative and operational activities of the Neville Fernando Teaching Hospital will be vested in the government with effect from the 1st of August. Accordingly, a tripartite agreement was signed by the Ministry of Health, the South Asian Institute of Technology and Medicine, as well as the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Minister Senaratne also stated that the Attorney General is currently drafting a detailed agreement which supersedes the tripartite letter of intent to ensure the legal transfer of the hospital. Welcome back to the news. Now, the 3rd annual Derana International Kite Festival, organized together with the Lokya Saha Lokya program, lit up the Colombo sky today as crowds gathered at Golf Face Green to celebrate the much anticipated event.
Kite enthusiasts from home and across the globe gathered at Golf Face Green this morning to witness the participation of 3,000 contestants in this year's event. Kite enthusiasts from China, Hong Kong, South Korea, Philippines, Malaysia, Morocco, the Czech Republic, Australia, France and Thailand were among the international participants at the festival.
Tell me, what do you feel?
Amazing, so many people. Hi Sri Lanka!
Ayubowan Sri Lanka!
This is the best kite festival ever! Colombo!
I love Sri Lanka!
Contestants went head-to-head to battle it out for the largest kite, the smallest kite, most creative kite, most colourful kite, the most creative kite with the Lokya Saha Lokya logo, and there was also a competition for the under-15 category. A concert was later organised with the participation of Dream Star and Little Star artists in line with the annual Derana International Kite Festival this evening.
Chief of Cultural Affairs to the Chinese Embassy in Sri Lanka, Liu Dong, says bilateral relations between China and Sri Lanka will elevate to new heights in the near future. He made the remarks exclusively to First at 9 yesterday at the event Suvadiviyata Pandotak in Madhavachia.
The Sri Lanka-China Buddhist Friendship Association organized events to vest water purification plants with the public under 2 phases yesterday. The first phase was held at the Gomarankadavala temple in Trincomalee, while the second was held at the Bodhirukkarama temple in Madhavachia. Minister of Buddha Sasana Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa attended the latter event as chief guest. The 3 million rupee project funded by the Chinese Embassy of Sri Lanka hopes to generate clean water for areas where chronic kidney diseases has become a health crisis.
During the past 6 decades, China and Sri Lanka have been supporting each other. We have provided a lot of assistance to Sri Lanka to support the economic and development of Sri Lanka society. And Sri Lanka also give us a lot of support. In the future, the relationship between China and Sri Lanka will be lifted to a new height. And we definitely believe that the friendly and mutual beneficial cooperation between our 2 countries will bring tangible benefit, not only to our countries, but also to our 2 peoples.
The Grade 5 Scholarship Examination was held today. It was conducted across 3,014 examination centres set up across the island under the supervision of 28,000 invigilators. 356,728 applicants faced the exam, while 562 of the applicants were students with special needs. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
An island-wide combined raid conducted by the Sri Lanka Police and the Sri Lanka Corps of Military Police last Friday led to the arrest of 777 army personnel who are absent without leave or having deserted their posts from respective formations around the country. The arrests, the biggest ever conducted within a single day, took one officer and 776 other rankers into custody. 3 suspects were arrested on suspicion of selling cannabis to school children in Nottiagama today. The arrest was conducted with the assistance of sniffer dogs. Meanwhile, a 56-year-old was arrested for selling cannabis to students in Eppavala. The Department of Wildlife Conservation rescued an elephant and an elephant calf in the 100-acre area in Rambava in Horopatana today.
On Business News tonight, as part of achieving $1 billion of annual bilateral trade between Sri Lanka and Vietnam, a 20-member Vietnamese business delegation visited Sri Lanka recently, headed by Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam, Du Ho Huy. Vietnamese entrepreneurs and representatives from agriculture, power generation, food and beverage, electrical and electronic products, dairy products and other major industries were part of the delegation. The meeting comes consequent to the visit of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in April this year, where he met with his Vietnamese counterpart, and talks were held to strengthen trade in the years to come. Sri Lanka's dismal form in the recent Test series against India looks to have crept into the one-day game, as well as the hosts crumbled to 216 runs all out with more than 6 overs to spare in the first one-day played in Dambulla. India strolled to a 9-wicket victory a short while ago thanks to a 197-run partnership between Virat Kohli and Shikhar Dhawan, with the latter scoring an unbeaten 132.
You've got the coin.
Sri Lanka lost their 4th consecutive toss, but new limited overs captain Upul Taranga said they'd like to have batted. And for 25 overs after being put in, it looked like a change of fortunes was afoot. Danushka Gunatilaka fell to Yuzvendra Chahal after putting on 74 for the first wicket with Niroshan Dickwalla, and Sri Lanka made it to 139 for 1 in the 25th over. Dickwalla then fell to Partha Makeda Jadhav for 64 before Aksa Patel cleaned up Kusal Mendis for 36.
Totally unnecessary.
Angelo Matthews was left watching from the other end as the wickets started to tumble. None of the bottom 6 made it to double figures, with the Indian spinners running riot as Sri Lanka collapsed to 216.
England's historic first day-night test concluded a full 2 days ahead of schedule as the hosts took 19 West Indian wickets yesterday after England declared on day 2 for a score of 518. The West Indies were shot out for just 168 in their reply, and after England enforced the follow-on, the visitors crumbled to 137 in their second innings.
James Anderson and Stuart Broad were dominant with the ball after Alistair Cook and Joe Root had made headlines in the previous 2 days. Anderson took 3 for 34 in the first West Indies innings of 168, with only Jermaine Blackwood resisting with 79 not out. Broad managed identical figures in the second innings, including a spell of 3 wickets for 4 runs in 11 deliveries after tea, as he surged past Ian Botham's tally of 383 test wickets into second place on England's all-time list, behind Anderson on 491. The West Indies collapse leaves them 1-0 down in the series, with the second test scheduled to begin on Friday at Headingley.
Australian Nick Kyrgios overcame Spanish veteran David Ferrer last night to book his place in the final of the Cincinnati Open. His opponent in tonight's final will be Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov, who needed 2 tie-breaks to beat American John Isner.
22-year-old Nick Kyrgios has an opportunity to win his first title of the year, as he beat former world number 3 David Ferrer 7-6, 7-6 in just over 2 hours. It was a similar script for 7th-seed Grigor Dimitrov, who took on big-serving American John Isner, and neither player dropped serve or match. Dimitrov was forced to save a set point in the second set tiebreak before putting away the dogged American 7-6, 7-6.
Tens of thousands of people took to the streets of Boston yesterday to protest a free speech rally featuring far-right speakers just a week after a woman was killed at a white supremacist demonstration in Virginia. The city of Boston was able to avoid a repeat of last weekend's deadly violence, and police estimate that as many as 40,000 people gathered around historic Boston Common Park to protest the rally.
Boston police had spent a week planning security for the event, mobilizing 500 officers and placing barricades along the streets to deter car-based attacks like those seen in Europe and Charlottesville. Police were also able to set up a small pen to confine the speakers at the rally, who could not be heard thanks to the shouts of those protesting. Protesters surrounded the far-right rally, which never numbered more than a dozen people, and wrapped up about an hour earlier than planned.
At least 23 people are killed and over 60 are left injured in a train derailment in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. Police said that at least 8 carriages jumped the tracks in yesterday's accident.
The train had been travelling to the Hindu holy city of Haridwar in the foothills of the Himalayas when the carriages derailed. The cause of the crash is not yet clear, and rescuers worked through the night to find survivors. Train accidents are common in India, with the railway carrying more than 22 million passengers a day and much of the equipment being out of date.
US President Trump and his wife Melania skipped the Kennedy Center honor after several of those due to participate said they would boycott the White House reception before the awards ceremony. The honors recognize a lifetime contribution of performing artists, but after complaints from awardees, including singer Lionel Richie, the White House confirmed that the president and his wife will not attend the event in order to allow those taking part to celebrate without political distraction. Now, here are some other stories making news around the world.
Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull unveiled the country's first national strategy for protecting crowded places from terrorism today, initiated in the wake of a deadly vehicle attack in the French city of Nice last year. Turnbull said the plan would seek to protect the public from offenders armed in various ways and includes recommendations such as the installation of bollards around main streets, shopping centres and sporting venues. A motorist in the southern Chinese city of Beihai had a narrow escape after plunging into a sinkhole earlier this week. The man, who was using his mobile phone, failed to notice the giant hole in the ground as he sped towards it. Chinese state broadcaster CCTV said he emerged unharmed.
Let's now cross over to Dhammika Ekanayake at the Ada Derana Weather Centre.
Good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. Now, your evening may bring a mixed bag by way of temperatures, as 20 to 34 degrees of Celsius is forecasted over the next 24 hours. Low pressure zones extending towards the southwest region of the island could bring about intermittent showers in the most parts of the island, particularly in the Vaunia, Mana and Putlam regions, as well as Colombo, Galle, Matra and Hambantota. Now it's time for your city-by-city forecast.
And before we go tonight, we'd like to leave you with more vibrant, colourful visuals from our very own Derana International Kite Festival, held today at the Golfways Green. Thank you for joining us and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.